The Somalis are an East Cushitic ethnic group native to the Horn of Africa who share a common ancestry, culture and history. The Somali language is the shared mother tongue of ethnic Somalis, which is part of the Cushitic branch of the Afroasiatic language family, and are predominantly Sunni Muslim. They form one of the largest ethnic groups on the African continent, and cover one of the most expansive landmasses by a single ethnic group in Africa. According to most scholars, the ancient land of Punt and its native inhabitants formed part of the ethnogenesis of the Somali people, an ancient historical kingdom where a great portion of their cultural traditions and ancestry has been said to derive from. Somalis share many historical and cultural traits with other Cushitic peoples, especially with lowland East Cushitic people, specifically the Afar and the Saho. Ethnic Somalis are principally concentrated in Somalia, Kenya, and Djibouti. Somali diasporas are also found in parts of the Middle East, North America, Western Europe, African Great Lakes region, Southern Africa and Oceania. Somali, the oldest common ancestor of several Somali clans, is generally regarded as the source of the ethnonym Somali. One other theory is that the name is held to be derived from the words Su and Mal, which together mean go and milk. This interpretation differs depending on region, with northern Somalis imply it refers to go and milk in regards to the camel's milk. Southern Somalis use the transliteration Sa Mal, which refers to cow's milk. This is a reference to the ubiquitous pastoralism of the Somali people. Another plausible etymology proposes that the term Somali is derived from the Arabic for wealthy, again referring to Somali riches in livestock. Alternatively, the ethnonym Somali is believed to have been derived from the Otomoli, a group of warriors from ancient Egypt described by Herodotus, who were likely of Mashwesh origin according to Flinders Petrie. Asmach is thought to have been their Egyptian name, with Otomoli being a Greek derivative of the Hebrew word Smali. An ancient Chinese document from the 9th century CE referred to the northern Somalia coast, which was then part of a broader region in northeast Africa known as Barbara, in reference to the area's Berber inhabitants. As per Pali, the first clear written reference of the sobriquet Somali, however, dates back to the 15th century, during the conflict between the Sultanate of Ifad based at Zaylar and the Solomonic dynasty. The Abyssinian emperor had one of his court officials compose a hymn celebrating a military victory over the Sultan of Ifad's eponymous troops. Simur was also an ancient Harari alias for the Somali people. Somalis overwhelmingly prefer the demonym Somali over the incorrect Somalian, since the former is an endonym, while the latter is an exonym with double suffixes. The hyponym of the term Somali from a geopolitical sense is honor, and from an ethnic sense, it is Kushite. The origin of the Somali people, which were previously theorized to have been from southern Ethiopia since 1000 BC or from the Arabian Peninsula in the 11th century, has now been overturned by newer archaeological and linguistic studies, which puts the original homeland of the Somali people in Somaliland, which concludes that the Somalis are the indigenous inhabitants of the Horn of Africa for the last 7,000 years. Ancient rock paintings, which date back 5,000 years, have been found in Somaliland. These engravings depict early life in the territory. The most famous of these is the Lars Geel complex. It contains some of the earliest known rock art on the African continent and features many elaborate pastoralist sketches of animal and human figures. In other places, such as the Dhumbalan region, a depiction of a man on a horse is postulated as being one of the earliest known examples of a mounted huntsman. Inscriptions have been found beneath many of the rock paintings, but archaeologists have so far been unable to decipher this form of ancient writing. During the Stone Age, the Doyan and Hagizan cultures flourished here with their respective industries and factories. The oldest evidence of burial customs in the Horn of Africa comes from cemeteries in Somalia dating back to 4th millennium BC. The stone implements from the Jalelo site in Somalia are said to be the most important link in evidence of the universality in Paleolithic times between the East and the West in antiquity. The ancestors of the Somali people were an important link in the Horn of Africa connecting the region's commerce with the rest of the ancient world. Somali sailors and merchants were the main suppliers of frankincense, myrrh and spices, items which were considered valuable luxuries by the ancient Egyptians, Phoenicians, Mycenaeans and Babylonians. According to most scholars, the ancient land of Punt and its native inhabitants formed part of the ethnogenesis of the Somali people.